Good afternoon, and welcome to Sharing Faith Through Testimony. I am your host, Minister Natalie Reeves. I thank you for tuning in with me on today, and I'm excited about this show on today. I have with me a dear friend of mine, Katie Stagger, and she is going to share her testimony with us on today. And I tell you, I'm just so excited about what God is doing and the vision that He has given me and the people that He is using to take this platform, those He have already used, and God is going to use many, many more to share their testimonies. And so I just thank God, because the Word of God lets us know that we overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony. And so one thing I do know is, if we do not share our testimony, because faith cometh by hearing, right? And hearing by the Word of God. And so also faith cometh by hearing your testimonies. I remember when I was going through a situation, many situations, and I heard a testimony one day. And that's why we have to testify to what God has done for us. I'm not talking about any old testimony, but God truly has done something in your life. You have got to share it. You've got to share it, because somebody else will, by hearing your testimony, will know that if God could do it for her, if God could do it for him, He is able to do it for me. God has no respected person. And so we just thank God for Katie being on the show. I want to say welcome to you, Katie, and you're welcome. Welcome to Sharing Faith Through Testimony. I am excited, even though it's her story is very sad, but God gets the victory out of her story. And so I just want you all to please, I'm going to say this every time I get up, because, you know, the enemy does not want you all to share this. Because his thing is, he don't want people to hear what God has done in our lives. And God has done some miracles, and truly have performed miracles in the lives of His people. I am going to ask you, please ma'am, please sir, to share the video. Please share. Even if you don't like it, at least share it, because it's not about us, but it's about reaching somebody else. So I'm going to ask you to share this testimony. Not just this one, but anybody that comes up and shares their testimony, I'm asking you to please like and share, so that someone else can hear this testimony. And so again, Katie, I just want to welcome you to Share Faith Through Testimony. It is a privilege and an honor to have you on the show, and I am going to not prolong the time, but I'm going to yield the floor to you.
Well, thank you for asking me to be here.
You're welcome.
And so I'm Katie Stagger. I am a mother of two beautiful girls and two wonderful grandchildren. I work at a community center for the past 22 years. I don't do a lot extra, but at work we have enough extra. You see what we do at work.
Tell me what you do at work.
So I am the senior program coordinator, so I take care of senior citizens twice a week. They come in and I make them a light breakfast in the morning, toast, tea, coffee, and then we have a homemade meal, which I cook, and we used to have abundance of people, 30 or 40 people. Now, because of COVID, we're down to like 14, 13 people. But they're coming back, so we're getting back to normal, I hope.
Right?
So, yeah, I've been there for, like I said, 22 years. I've worked with the seniors for the past 6 years. Before that, I've done everything. But, yeah, they're a good place to be, like family. Well, and you know, you're part of my family too, so.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so that's what I do, and I like to spend time with my grandchildren. Actually, that's why I was here so early, because I dropped them off, and we were doing, you know, Sunday, get some McDonald's and took them home. So they, but usually I spend a little more time with them on weekends than I get to see them during the week. But yeah, that's me.
Well, we're glad
So exciting.
we're glad to have you here, Katie. So when you're ready to share,
Okay, I
take
am
a
ready.
deep breath.
And I don't share this story for pity or sympathy. I don't. Because I overcame all that, and I just share it
Amen.
because I want other people to know that there's a way out, and that you don't have to live in domestic violence, or people that love you shouldn't hurt you. And it took me a long time to learn that, and the hard way. So if I can reach anybody and they can get out of their situation before it gets to where mine got, then I'm happy to, even if I don't know, if one person just gets the help they need, man or woman, because it happens both ways. But I am a survivor of domestic violence. My advocate calls me a warrior, and she is the world to me. She got me through a lot because of her faith, and she brought that in to me. She gave her faith and helped me get through a lot. So my story actually started, I got married in 1987, and prior to that I dated this person off and on for a couple of years, since we were like 13, and at 13 didn't know mentally the abuse that was going on. Now looking back, I can see it all, but we did get married, and the night of my wedding it started. Once he had that paper with the signature, it started. It was verbally, physically. That night he choked me, and I did leave, and I went and lived with my sister for a while, and but they pull you back in. You know, they promise all these things. So 6 months later, I was back in that relationship again. And we had a child, and then we had another child. Things didn't get any better. And I thought the harder I tried to love him, he would change and he would love me the same way. And I never felt that love back. As much as I wanted it, because I had his children, and you know, these things, we're supposed to be a family, you're supposed to love me. He said he loved me, but I never felt the love. So the abuse went on throughout my marriage. I was married for 25 years, and I didn't tell anyone. I did try to leave a couple of times, but in the 80s, early 90s, the police officers that would come would just tell you to take a walk or to take a break, spend the night somewhere and work it out. And I did all those things, and you know, he would pull me back in again. And so years down the road, my daughter had a child, and she still lived at home. And in January of I'm skipping way up because it's just so much in there.
It's a lot. So if I may, normally I don't say too much. I sit and I listen. If you don't mind me just interacting for a minute, because I want to go back to when you said you met him when you were 13 years old.
Yes.
Okay, so you met him when you were 13. And when did you get married?
When I was 21 or 22. 22, I think.
Okay. All right.
God, it's so long ago.
Okay. So you met him at a very young age.
Very young.
How old was he?
He was 15. He's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
And we dated, like I said, off and on through those years. And then I got pregnant and I married him. One, because my grandmothers were I thought would be hurt, or I don't want to think less of me, but it just, one grandmother was Catholic, and so being pregnant and not married.
Oh, yeah.
So
you ain't got to be Catholic for that one.
True. My other grandmother wasn't Catholic, so same
It don't
thing.
matter.
So I did get married, and
all the religious things.
yeah, I didn't want them to be disappointed, I guess, and because they're just wonderful, and they helped raise me. So I did get married pretty young, and had the first child, and then 2 years later I had my second child. And then the abuse just kept getting worse. Things like not just name calling, but financially things would be so tight. But he wouldn't let me get a job. I had to let go of a lot of my relationships with my friends and my family, and not for any reason other than I didn't want them to know my secrets, that things were happening at home. One, because I was afraid if my dad found out that he would do something to my husband, and then my father would be in prison, and then I wouldn't have my father, who I was very close to. My dad died in 98, and it got worse because then there's no threat of me being able to tell him, right? Like he knew this, and he got worse. A lot of times I didn't think that my children knew, but after everything happened, they would tell me things that they heard or seen. And just, and a lot of it, the physical happened behind closed doors, but he didn't leave marks where people could see them. So I could go to work, and I could, when I finally was able to get a job. Getting my job was like a godsend. It truly was. I only worked part-time in the beginning when I first started, but it got me out of the house. I got to socialize with people. I got to be normal again. And he didn't like that either. So he would, say things that were not nice about the males I worked with, thinking that I did things with them, and he would just call me all kinds of names. And for instance, one time I worked with a young man who I really didn't get along with. But one day he came in, he had an orange shirt on and a nice tie, and I just I don't want to say his name, but I was like, you look so good today. Like, he really did. He was striking that day. And my husband happened to be in the office for what, I don't even remember. He'd just show up all the time. And that night, it wasn't pretty. He hurt me so bad. The next day I was limping. He just, I don't know, a lot of triggers here, if anyone's watching. He would keep me in the house.
Take your time. Maybe we'll pass it if we have to.
No, I'll be okay. Just 1 second. He would just do things that, weren't normal. And I knew that I had to get out. Okay. And so this is probably 10 years before I actually left. The beatings, the verbal abuse, the financial abuse was so overbearing, I didn't even like myself. But then I thought, he would always say to me, if you leave, no one's going to want you. No one ever wants you. And so after a few years of hearing that, you think that, right? So why leave if no one else wants me? And you have to like yourself in order to move forward. And for a while I didn't, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
For a while I didn't understand why God would let me stay there or let these things happen. That I'm surprised sometimes that I survive mentally through some of that. And I apologize.
Oh, don't apologize. Do it if you need to move.
Yeah, we'll
Skip.
I'm gonna skip forward a little bit.
Yeah.
So in 2010, I decided to leave. And it wasn't decided by me at that moment. The police officer that showed up at my home that morning said, either he has to leave or we call CPS because you have a 3-year-old. My grandson was there. He was actually 2. And everything in me just lifted because I had a way out, right? I had this way out that I haven't felt in a long time. And I could breathe at that moment, and there was no second guessing. He had to go. He has to go. And so they removed him. And then things still got, you think he's out, you think you're free, right? But then it escalates because now the control is lost, because this time I didn't take him back, and I wasn't going to take him back, and I knew in my heart that it was over. I was free. So I moved on. Me and the kids moved to a different apartment, and we started over. And then I got an order of protection, and I kept notes and everything he did in that 6 months. He stole my garbage. He would take windows out of my home. He had someone in my backyard shining a laser beam on me. And then my daughter called one night, and she was in college in Utica, and she said, "Are you wearing a pink top and doing the dishes?" And I said, "Are you home?" I was so excited, right? And she was like, "No, someone's watching you, and that Dad just called me and told me what you're wearing." So we moved out of that big house into an apartment, and then we were doing okay for a while, and then little things would happen. I came home from work one time, and we had a big picture window, and he was standing in my picture window of my apartment. And I thought maybe the girls left the door unlocked, so he seen me pick up my phone, and he must have knew I was calling the police, and he left. And then just little things like our laundry room door in the basement would be open, but every time I called the police, they said if I didn't see him doing it, they couldn't do anything. So I started, going out with friends and doing things I wanted to do. And then I met a friend from a town that I grew up in with my grandparents part-time. And someone happened to take a picture of us, and he is a man. And so on July 9th, it was very hot, and it's still in 2010, and we lived above a pizzeria, so it was really hot. It was hot out, it was hot from the ovens, it was just hot. And I put the fan in the window of the doorway to the porch, and I put a sheet over the door coming down our hallway, because I thought if I could keep the air conditioning blowing in a circle, that we would be cooler. So in the living room, I took every blanket we had, I put it on the ground. My grandson wanted to sleep with me that night, so we slept on the floor in the living room like we were camping, but it was nice and cool. And my daughter went to bed in her room, which was about 10 feet down the hallway. And so I was getting really, really tired. And Jonathan would go to sleep, so I finally turned off the TV. And by now, he was 2, so he was like one of those ones up all night. And so I turned off the TV, and I was like, we gotta go to sleep. So this had to be around 2:30 in the morning. And I was like laying there, and I thought I'd seen the sheet move to the side. But I was so tired, I just went to sleep. the next thing I know, I'm being tossed around the room like a rag doll. I'm being punched and kicked. I didn't know at that moment that I was being stabbed with a hunting knife. And I thought he was just punching me. And the longer it went on, I happened to look down at Jonathan at one point because he fell off my arm. And I was afraid for him. And I was praying, please God, don't let anything happen to John because I don't know what's going on. But I knew who was doing it because I could hear his voice and the things he was saying. And I just remember I was looking at what was going on from above myself. And I knew that if I didn't let my body drop, that I was going to die. So I fell to the floor and pretended I was dead. And he finally stopped and he walked away from me. I could hear him walking away and I could hear my daughter open her bedroom door. And I thought, I pray to God, don't let him hurt her. And I could hear her. She said, Dad, what are you doing? And he said, I killed your mother. You might want to call the cops. Like it was an everyday to-do list. And he walked back in to where I was. I could hear him coming and he kicked me in the side of the head. And I don't know how I didn't do it, but I didn't yell out. I didn't move. I was trying not to breathe. And he finally left. I could hear my daughter come in and she was checking Jonathan and she picked up John and she turned on the light and I heard her cry and then I heard her screaming. She must have had her phone. Some of this is a little called 911. And I just wanted to go to sleep at that moment. And then I heard a voice. And God sent someone because I knew it was a God. Because this person, I could hear it so clearly. And at first I was afraid to answer because I thought he came back. Because I must have lost consciousness and came back. And I heard the voice and I could see it was bright in there. And I couldn't see anybody, but I could see the bright light was shining and I could hear this voice just telling me to hold on, hold on, hold on, help is coming, help is coming. And as much as I wanted him to shut up, I'm so glad he didn't. Officer Ripley is the person that is the voice that God sent for me to keep me awake and alive. And the ambulance came. I can remember being brought downstairs and the officer said to me, I'm going to meet you at the hospital. And when we got to the hospital, which seemed like seconds, I could hear his voice again. So I felt that I had someone. Even though I couldn't see these people, I had someone. And they got me in there, and I remember I don't know what happened, to tell you the truth, but felt like I was going in a circle, and I could see people that meant so much to me, but these people weren't here. So, and then I couldn't breathe. And then the next thing I know, I was awake again, and they had put lung tubes in me. I had been drowning in my own blood, and but I could hear them talking, and they said that I could feel what they were doing, and I was starting to get scared again because I couldn't figure out what was happening.
Well, if I may interact, to our viewers, So we're talking about domestic violence. And surely, I've said before, anybody that comes to this platform, you know, I've been through stuff like this. So, you know, I relate to what Katie is sharing with you all today. I've gone through domestic violence. And again, women are not the only ones that go through this. There are men who are getting beat on and abused verbally every day, just like women. So she's sharing with you all, but you, if I may just, you know, take you there, you wouldn't have known what was going on. I mean, this woman, and before I go there, and so when you were talking about that voice of reason, God sent that person. God sent that man there. It was the voice of God. Now you heard a voice, that was the voice of God telling you it's going to be all right. Saying to you, I'm going to see you at the hospital. That was God. Because he knew today you were going to live and not die. This woman here was stabbed how many times, Katie?
Over 36.
37 times.
You got both my lungs, you have my artery in my hand. He tried to go through the chest, but he, for some reason, didn't make it through the chest plate, which they said was a godsend, like that he didn't get through. And it might have been because he was too close. But they said that
God gonna get the glory out of this.
that people, you know, that's a very intimate act to stab someone. It's very intimate, and that I could hear him and I knew, you know, that it was him. Made it harder for me, I think, because I didn't, you know, after I was in the hospital and I didn't lose faith. I just thought, why am I going through this? Why in not thinking that I'm alive, right? I'm alive and I'm gonna be okay. My whole, and you go through so many things, you know, your head, you go through like the 12 steps of crazy, and you want to know why, and you want to know, just, you know, that you have to feel things, right? I didn't understand the whole, you have to feel the anger and let it go. You have to feel the love and let it in. And for a long time I was angry, and I didn't want to feel the hate, you know, and so it took me a long time. But I talked to a friend one time, and her daughter was killed by her son-in-law, and she forgave him. And I thought, I looked at her right, and I said, someday I want to be able to forgive. And she explained to me that she didn't forgive for him, she forgave for herself. And it took me a long time to realize or come to that, right? Like, how do I forgive him and feel better? You know, I didn't understand that. And as the years went on, and it took me years to get there. It took me a lot of years. I just was so self-pitying myself, I guess, that finally when I did say, you know, I called my advocate and I said, I need to go to the prison and I need to forgive him. And she said, you don't need to forgive him then. You don't need to see him. You don't need to forgive him. And she said, just forgive on your own. Forgive. You'll get there. And I did get there. I finally, one morning, I just woke up and I just let it go. I just let all the anger out of me. I prayed to God that I could forgive him and be okay with myself for forgiving him. And I know a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people still to this day don't understand how I forgive him. I don't want him back in my life. I don't want him near me. I forgive everything he did, and I don't wish him ill will. You know, there's a lot of people that wish him ill will. I don't wish him ill will. God will take care of whatever he needs to do with him. And I truly believe that. I think that, you know, I feel good about me, and I went on to live my life, and I'm happy, and and I tell my story so other people do get out, and so it doesn't get this far, because this is horrible. The aftermath is not, it took me years, and it's about 11 years since this happened. So it took me, I'd say, about 8 to finally let go. I was getting there. I had to wake up that day and feel it. And I did. I felt it, and God will do what he needs to do. And I believe that he did. Like I said, I didn't lose faith, but I questioned God. Why am I here in this situation? Why did this happen? And finally I had to come to that realization that he saved me.
Yes, he did.
And I went through this because I needed to, right? I needed to be that voice so people would hear and get out, because God doesn't like ugly, and ugly heart does ugly things.
Wow. I don't know how much time I have. Wow. I just can't get over the fact 37 times
It was.
you were stabbed, and I know it was 37 times.
A lot of people say 31 because 5 of those times, or 6 of those, they didn't have to put stitches in. They were, big enough that they could just butterfly. So they don't count them. But every wound on my body, I counted. So 37 of those, to me, are important.
Yes, they are. And God, He saved your life. And these are the kind of testimonies that gives God glory. He gets the glory out of it. I know you say, how does God get the glory out of it? Somebody getting stabbed 37 times. But he is getting the glory out of it because she lived. He saved your life. He saved your life. God said you shall live and not die. And that's what his word said, and that's what happened. So you lived to share that testimony with so many of us. Again, when you started talking about that bright light, and if I may just share a piece, to be a witness to that bright light she's talking about. I remember some years ago, I was young too, like you, Katie. I was young too, and I can remember being involved. And we're talking about this today. This is so real. I hope you guys are sharing. This is so real because even while we're yet talking right now, some woman getting beat on right now. Huh? Some woman is getting beat on right now. And so just to piggyback on that bright light, I remember, I went through it for many years. And when I got hit upside my head, and my head hit the corner of a dresser, I mean, it was like a steel piece around that dresser. And so on this side, I got hit so hard I remember hitting the dresser, the corner of the dresser. It was a metal piece, and I gashed my head in it, and I too had to have stitches there. I remember hitting the floor, and it hit me so hard, seeing a bright light you're talking about. And I believe that was God, kind of like that light that when Paul got knocked off that horse, and he saw a bright light. I believe that was that same light came to save us in that very moment. God is just so good. He's amazing. He's amazing. Because that meant, I believe when I got hit, the enemy tried to take me out. Just like he tried to take you out so you wouldn't be able to come forth and share that today. And so like she said, she don't want no pity from nobody. She done been through enough. But what she is trying to say today, and what I'm trying to say, is we want to help somebody. You don't have to go through this. You don't have to go through it. I know some of y'all afraid to come out. Some of y'all watching today going through some domestic violence right now and need to come out. And I pray to God that if that's the case, those of you that are watching, that is something that Katie has said on today, that will, you will come out of it before it's too late. You might not get a chance to tell a story like Katie is doing on today, sharing her testimony. You might not get a chance. And so, we just have to continue, because we've been there. We have to continue to pray for other women, other men. Because I thought about when you was talking about your children and your grandchildren, they suffer too. When they see the violence going on, like your daughter could hear. And even before all of that, the kids know. They're in the house. They know when something's wrong. They know too.
And I will say that the night of the stabbing, God must have knew that Jonathan didn't need to wake up, because he didn't wake up. He didn't remember anything. He didn't know anything until, I think, 2 years ago, actually. So we were blessed that he didn't have to relive that at such a young age and over and over and over, because it's not, still to this day, now that I know he's going to get out soon, so he gets out in a little over like 3 years and 11 months. Not that I'm counting, but I am. And it's terrifying. Now that it's getting closer, it feels like those years went by so quickly. And, he meant to kill me. No one stabs someone 37 times and doesn't mean for them to die. So I start worrying about that. I start sleeping with the light on again. I start checking, in the back of my car or under my bed. I bought a platform bed, so now I don't have to look under it. But things like that, are a lot of anxiety builds up. But I don't let it rule my life. I don't. But I do speak out a lot, because if we could help one person, then, it's worth me talking about this all the time. And you're right, I don't want pity, I don't want sympathy. I do want understanding. A lot of people don't understand why people stay. And I think that's a big topic too, is why do people stay? It's so many answers for that. And yourself, we there's a lot of reasons. But yeah, if we could touch one person, and they can get help is out there. Your neighbor, your parents, your friends, the church.
Talk about the work you do for the Beer House. Also, you speak.
I do speak for Beer House. When they ask me, I do speak for them. I'm on a survivor committee there, the Survivor Network. And we come up, we talk about a lot of different things. And I've done things. I was on the board of directors at Beer House for a couple of years. And just things like we could put in things how to, like when people go to the emergency house, they have to know there's a lot of paperwork. People aren't in the right mind to fill out all that paperwork. So we could go with little things like that, and what they could do to help them or help your neighbor, Okay.
Well, Katie.
I know we could talk forever about this stuff. I mean, there's so much that we're not going to get to, you know what I mean? And I did try to shorten it all up, because sometimes I go on a rant about it. But I feel good after I talk about it, because then people know that it's real, and it could be happening to your next door neighbor, your spouse, your daughter, your, hopefully not your grandma, but sometimes it happens there too. And it doesn't happen to any certain race, any certain religion, any, men, women, happens. And it took me a long time to understand that part too, because I thought if you're rich, you're happy, right? But I've met women that are rich and going through the same thing. So I learned a lot, during this whole 10-year process too, just with me talking and learning more from other people. And no one's story is worse than the next person. It's all, what happened sometimes is worse, but the stories are all the same.
That's it. Well, Katie, thank you so much for sharing your story with us on Sharing Faith Through Testimony. And we will definitely keep you in prayers. Those of you that are viewing us on social media, again, please like and share most of all. Even again, if you don't like, share that someone else needs to hear this, not just us. Somebody else needs to hear this. All over this world, somebody is suffering, going through domestic violence. You know, as the more you talk about it, I just reflect back on. I like the part where you said about forgiveness, and that's a lot to do. Somebody, you just can't do that on your own.
Right.
So God had to help you with that one, and He knew when you would be able to forgive. I say that because I think about, you know, even with violence that went on with my son, how I lost him, and somebody's out there. I had to forgive. You know, we just have to forgive, and sometimes it's for us. You know, so I like that piece about it, that you have made peace with God, and when you was questioning Him, why am I going through this? God turned that thing around, and it's like, you know, the same person that did it to me, I'm going to forgive. I want to forgive. I have to forgive.
You do have to. I mean, for yourself, for your own heart. I think that if you let it weigh on you, then your health goes, and you know you're not feeling yourself.
I believe you don't have to worry. God brought you through all of that. I know anxiety, like you said, kicks in, but God has truly done a miracle in your life. He saved your life, and you don't have to worry from this day on about the enemy. You don't have to worry. Yeah. You never have to worry again. So again, we thank you for tuning in with Sharing Faith Through Testimony. Again, I apologize for when we first had the little delay there, but good things come to those who wait. And Katie, again, I just thank you so much. We are going to definitely keep you in prayer, and just know that I love you and I appreciate you.
I love you too, Natalie.
Yeah. Again, share this. Thank you, Pastor Dusan, my pastor, for supporting. Thank you, Leap of Faith Outreach Ministry, for supporting. Thank you to my Facebook viewers for all of y'all love and support. Thank you, Sister Tasha, my administrator, for supporting me. I do want to say this, and then we're going to pray out, but I do want to mention this about next month. So next month, I will not have a guest speaker on, but I will be doing a basket giveaway, a holiday. We're just going to have some fun. It's going to be a holiday giveaway basket, and I'm going to be giving away gift cards and all kind of goodies. So I just want you all on December 19th will be the next time I'll be on to tune in with me. We'll give out more information as it draws closer. But I want you all to tune in with me on December 19th, and we're going to have a fun day as we lead up into our Christmas holiday. And I'm going to give away some gifts and things on the show, and some of y'all gonna be glad to be calling in at some of these gifts, and so I pray that y'all win something too. All right, so I'm gonna pray for Katie and pray for those of you that are viewing me right now. I'm going to pray unless Katie feels the strength to be able to pray. She says out loud. I know you usually pray in your quiet time, but I just believe it's something that you can pray and say to the people, Katie.
Okay.
Let God just use you. Oh. Use the Lord.
Lord Jesus, please let these words that we've heard today, or the people have heard today, reach them. Please help them find a safe place, a loving place, and not feel any pain. They shouldn't live with the pain. Please help those that are the abusers. Bring love to their heart. Show them the way all humans are part of God, and no one deserves to be hurt. Please help everyone that is going through any kind of domestic violence, man or woman. Bring them to you, shelter them with your love,
Yes, Lord.
and guide them.
Yes, Lord.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Yes, Lord. Amen. Amen. Until next time on Sharing Faith Through Testimony, I will see you then. God bless you. Love you all.
Sounds good. I was sweating.
I must tell the world about all you've done. I must tell